today we are covering the 1987 classic Hellraiser. Yes. Hellraiser features sexual deviant Frank, played by Sean Chapman, who inadvertently opens a portal to hell when he tinkers with a box he bought while abroad. The act unleashes gruesome beings called Cenobites who tear Frank's body apart. When Frank's brother, played by Andrew Robinson, and his wife Julia, played by Claire Higgins, move into Frank's old house, they accidentally bring what is left of Frank back to life. Frank convinces Julia, his one-time lover, to lure men back to the house so he can use their blood to reconstruct himself, and hell keeps going on from there. So,
shit gets cray.
Get into it.
Yay!
All right, witches, strap in, because if you haven't put this together yet, this movie is about to get spoiled. So get ready.
Oh wait, no, you started last time.
Did
Blaine,
I?
You started.
I don't know anything.
Say
did
hi,
I talk about loving trans kids?
Yes.
Earlier?
Yes.
You did.
So I still love trans kids. And I also love wearing black and bold lipstick. And my name is Blaine.
And I am Stephanie, and I love. My favorite color is actually. I actually really like a light blue.
Yeah.
I like a light blue.
You look good in a light
I'd
blue.
like a blue, and also
compliments
a
you.
Kelly green.
Ooh.
Two favorite colors. Yep.
Jewel tones.
Yep. Jewel tones. I like the jewels.
My name is Emily, and I have a geriatric cat. So that's fun.
She's the
She's
cutest
the
too.
best.
She's awful.
Oh, she's so cute. She was snuggling all up on us.
I mean, she's desperate. That's
Yeah.
fine.
It's like me. I'll let anybody hold me. It's
Right.
Yeah,
fine.
for real.
She'll grind on anybody. It's
But this movie, Hellraiser. So you had both seen this, yeah?
yes.
I hadn't watched it the whole way through.
Okay.
Until I watched it.
Am I the only? Okay.
I have never seen it, and I actually intentionally never watched it because I was afraid because it looked scary.
But it's such a Stephanie movie.
It
It's
is
so- yes.
so in watching this, it's literally, I mean, we'll get into it, but I actually, this movie pisses me off because of the reasons why it is the way it is. I'm like, this is so not fair.
So, as new fans of Hellraiser, I have to ask you guys: were you frustrated by Pinhead not being really in the movie?
He was in the movie for like
I
a
was
minimum of 5
disappointed.
minutes.
I was disappointed that the Cenobites were in it at all.
Right.
Or that was the Cenobite.
The Cenobites design was inspired by S&M clubs.
Yes.
And I kind of hate that. So in the box set liner notes, the person who wrote the film, Clive Barker, he wrote that the Cenobites design was influenced by punk, by Catholicism, and visits to S&M clubs in New York and Amsterdam.
Sexy.
And it's based on a representation of repulsive glamour. And I don't like this because I don't like that it villainizes bondage and
BDSM.
In general.
sadism.
Stop kink
Like-
shaming.
Like, I just didn't like that. I mean, it's still rad as fuck.
I remember the first time I
It's
watched
kinky
this movie.
hell.
It's kinky hell. It's the lust hell. Is my theory.
Yeah.
The first time I watched this movie was with my husband back when we first started dating 100 years ago, and I was furious because in my head this movie was Pinhead. Mm-hmm. Like that's how I thought of this movie, and I was like, wait, he has like what collectively 15 minutes
Not even, I'd say.
screen time. Yeah.
Well,
Not
and
even.
that's like where you and I are very different because I went into this movie being like, fuck, I have to watch a whole 90 minutes of fucking Pinhead.
Right.
And then
I was
what I
surprised.
got was so much better.
Right.
I was surprised by the whole concept of this movie.
Oh
I
my
was
God.
very surprised. I did not anticipate what I got.
affairs and
So Hellraiser was produced for about $1 million and it made $14 million. Now I see the reason for the budget because this movie has a lot more practical effects, a lot more
Yes.
monster magic,
But also, let's talk about the fact that this was made in 87.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like it was made in 87. It
Really?
feels like it was made in at least
The 90s.
1980.
Oh, you think it
Oh,
feels
I feel
older.
like it was older.
the
See,
electric
because
effects at the end.
The electric effects, the overall effects.
the look of the characters, the look of the monsters. I think that felt really well done.
Well,
I think
while
it felt
we're
well
talking
done.
about characters, let's talk about the characters of this film.
Yes.
Let's set the stage. This guy has just bought this fancy box from a foreign person, and we are
Don't they
led
play
to
it up like it's in Asia or
A
something?
Chinese
Yes,
market or
because
something.
racism.
Obviously, it's got to be a Chinese market.
Yes.
Frank ends up taking it home and he messes with it. And we see that Frank is like basically squatting in a home. He's has a mattress laying down and his fingernails are dirty as fucking
God.
fuck.
And he's surrounded by candles.
This is the dirtiest fucking fingernails I've ever seen by what looks like the Tesseract. And he starts by saying, "What's your pleasure?" Is
so the Asian guy
man
says,
selling.
"What's your
Yeah.
pleasure, Mr. Cotton?"
Yes.
So they gave him a
he's
fake
like,
name.
And he's like, "I'll take it." And he goes, "It was
What a
your
Frank Cotton.
take it. It was already yours,"
Yes.
or whatever. Something
He
like
says
that.
the box, and he says it
Yes.
always was. Or
yeah,
like
always
something, yeah.
was. And then Frank is now topless. Not mad about it.
No, honestly, nice bod.
Right?
I want your bod.
And he's playing with Satan's Rubik's Cube.
Yep.
And then he's in a rectangle of candles instead of
Yes!
a circle,
Sexy.
which I think is so important.
So
'cause
what does
in-
that mean?
In witchcraft, it's supposed to be a circle. You cast your circle.
What does the
That's
triangle
you
mean,
do.
though?
I feel like
Doesn't
that
mean
is more
dick.
indicative
Oh, it means nothing.
of
No, it means
Satanism.
Okay,
Yes.
is it?
Or, at least worshiping something other than the spirit.
Okay, okay.
I love that he's in a box
Yeah.
fucking with this
What's
box.
in the box?
It's his dick in a... Nope. I
Also,
I-
yes, though.
I also
literally.
love that this reminds me a lot of the Seventh Gate.
Yeah.
A lot of scenes from
Yeah.
the Seventh Gate. And he is extremely sweaty for a man only surrounded by candles.
So
I get that
sweaty.
though.
Like,
Have you guys ever
prolific.
like lit candles in a tiny area?
Literally
You're, like-
yesterday.
yes, and like it gets so hot so
It
fast.
does. It's like fire's hot.
So like
It's
lighting
crazy.
candles in the summertime, forget about it.
Forgettable.
Also, the
Witchcraft
box-
can wait.
The box looks like the Fifth Element.
Yeah.
I called throughout my notes. I have called this box mystery box, Satan's Rubik's Cube, shiny cube,
Cute
disco box,
Disco, Monster Con.
and glitter square.
Ooh.
There's a lot of terms.
It's like an animal. Like you just come up with a bunch of
right?
pet names.
Or it's like I'm like Tom Haverford and I'm just coming up with new names. I did,
Oh, yeah.
I did Google
Tea
it.
dazzle.
Wait,
Chicky Chicky Nug Nug.
Chicky Chicky Barm Barm.
Chicky Chicky Parm.
I did Google it, what this box is, and it's called, and I'm gonna say this wrong, Le Marchand's
Le Marchand's box.
box, which is an example of lament configuration, which is a puzzle box that's solved to open up some other realm.
Well,
So that's what this is inspired by, I suppose.
done
But it's
and
Satan's
done.
fucking Rubik's Cube. That's
Well-
what it is in my notes, and that's what it is.
And I like that it so quickly goes from he's surrounded by candles, extremely sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
He opens, the thing opens, and the sparks go. And okay, this is the shittiest effect. This is funny. There's like little
Oh,
sparks
yeah.
come out. It kind of looks like if my
I
vibrator
love.
exploded.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like little sperms.
Little sperms of blue.
Yes.
Very 80s
And
design.
beautiful.
It's very much like Weird Science.
Mm.
And so he basically, something happens. He enters like a weird element. His spikes pierce his body from all sides.
He gets hooks.
He gets
Yeah,
hooks put
that's
into
what's
his
happening.
body.
Hooks are coming out from the walls,
Yeah.
and they're clinging him.
Hooking.
And
Yeah.
we're entering some
He's a
weird
fish.
dungeon where there's body parts everywhere, body parts stuck to hooks
Yes,
on the wall.
it looks like a weird demonic
It
butcher
looks like
shop.
a satyr at Vincent Price's house to steal a line from Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh,
Yup.
guys, I miss Vincent Price.
I laugh still because it was really they were shitty.
Of course.
It was like
Oh, yeah.
fake. It was like fake. They took chicken cutlets and like put
Yeah.
them around
Well,
things.
the entire time I was watching, I was like,
we're
now
hunting
how
for
would
marmots.
Right. The entire time I was watching this, I was thinking, how would I have reacted if I were 10 years old?
right.
You know, if I
Terrified.
had actually sat down while this was on TV when I was younger, how would I have reacted to this? I couldn't come up with a genuine answer until we came to Frank Revisited.
we see. Is it Pinhead? Who
I
comes out?
don't know if it's Pinhead
Or
if
the
it's
Cenobite.
Well, Pinhead is technically just the lead Cenobite.
Yeah.
And there's a quote unquote female Cenobite that looks a lot
yeah,
like
it might be her.
Pinhead. I don't know if it's her or Pinhead.
So someone comes up and they take a bunch of face parts
they're puzzling together.
and they're puzzling it together. And also, doesn't this face puzzle look like Trump?
Oh, yeah.
Did you
I
not see
thought
it?
that too. And
I
I was
saw
like,
it.
this is too early
No,
for a
I
That's
Trump
what I
saw it.
felt about the
No,
thing.
They cut to
Oh yeah, they cut
Pinhead
to.
stroking the box, and then we return to the mortal realm.
Yep.
Of like Larry and Julia
Yeah.
trying to open the lock on the front door and like struggling with it. And they don't know that Frank has been there at all.
Yeah.
He thinks it's his mother's house and that Frank hasn't been there. And they're like, oh, it's been empty for so long.
Yep.
And they're just coming to live there because it was left to them. And Frank is just out of the picture. Like, they don't know he's dead, but they also don't know.
They don't know much about him.
where
Maybe
the fuck
he
he
just
is.
seems like that shitty uncle and brother that you're
Yes.
like, well, we hope he's not here.
Can I read the paragraph that
Yes,
I wrote
do
about
it.
this?
Yep.
Please do.
Unattractive couple buys a house. Wife doesn't want to move in. Wife finds Frank's shit. She loves looking at his nude pics.
Yeah.
She pockets the pics. Wife is obsessed with her brother-in-law. That's it.
Whole movie.
I think
End
that's
credits.
it. End.
End
Roll
credits.
credits. They walk into one room that has like maggots and shit.
The kitchen,
The
yeah.
entire movie does not acknowledge the fact that they never clean this house.
No.
They move straight and have a dinner party.
There's black mold everywhere. Everywhere.
There's also this weird ceramic icon that never really gets explained. It's
No.
like two people fucking.
Oh, yeah.
Did
That
he
little,
like make that?
It was
and
Frank,
it was like
so
whittled
that's,
it.
that's the explanation.
yeah, it was
just
Frank.
Frank's.
So he's just a fucking asshole. Then Larry.
But she's going through those. That is a good point. Those nudes.
Yeah.
Is that her in the photo?
Yeah, it must
because
be.
it
It
doesn't
Can't be.
look like
it doesn't
her.
look like
didn't
her
look
at
like
all.
her at all. She
and then they
rips the
flash
photo.
back,
to their affair.
and that's
Oh,
obviously her.
Also,
with a
their
mullet.
affair, by the way, it is like it just feels very rapey and weird. And
Oh, I know.
Just didn't like
I wrote
it,
my
but
notes 1,000 times. Oh shit, is this consensual?
I don't know. I mean,
It's
kind
definitely
of.
not.
I don't know.
Well, and then she is like he goes to stop and she pulls him back in.
Also, but
so you're like, I don't know what the fuck is happening.
We also don't
here.
know the ages.
so wait,
here.
before we get to that, this is also again back to that BDSM stuff. The idea of this like pain is pleasure kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is when Julia goes up in Frank's room, the squatter room, and she finds these photos. He's like, there's bondage going on in these
Yes.
photos. There's like rough sex and masks, and there's one photo in particular she takes and she rips the woman's face off of and keeps the picture of him. At this point, you know she knows something, and
Yes.
obviously then we establish that she's had an affair with her husband's brother, and
Yes.
he
She's
is sexier.
hoping somehow she'll see him again.
And he's way hotter than her husband.
Oh my
Yes.
god,
Like,
so
if
much
that
hotter.
is that
even
wouldn't
just
be
that
annoying?
like crusty mustache, I was like, all right.
yeah.
I'll
How do you
sit
guys
on
feel
that.
about full mustaches? Like really heavy
I don't
full
give a
mustaches.
fuck. Like,
I'd
let
like a
me-
beard with it.
If
I
it
don't like
tickles my
just a
pussy, I'm
mustache.
all about it.
So then they're moving in the way that they make the movers the most quintessential like fat oafs.
I know,
And they're like,
they had to
"Hey, you
be
want a beer?"
creepers. They
Hitting
had
on
to be
everybody.
His okay,
gross.
Larry's daughter. Okay,
Kirsty,
so Larry's
or
daughter,
Kirsty.
Kirsty. Yeah.
Kirsty
Kirsty.
comes, and he calls her. He's like, "Come over," and she's like, "Okay, fine," and she like goes home.
And she walks there, which is like an
From
anxiety
New York City or something.
walk.
They're in
the whole
London.
time. You're like, she's gonna get murdered
Yes.
the whole time, and then like it almost looks like she just like happened upon the house.
Yeah, it's really funny, but I wrote, the guy's daughter is somewhere we don't quite know. She is fucking fine.
She is. She looks like a young Winona Ryder.
Yes.
Yes.
I couldn't place it before,
Yes.
but I
young
was like,
Winona
wow.
Ryder.
Did anybody else think that it was really weird how she kissed Larry, her father, on the lips?
Yep.
Like, do you ever
Yep.
go in for a straight lip-to-lip kiss with your dad?
Ooh, no,
You
not
do a
since
side
I
of
was
the
maybe
head.
what
Yep.
2.
Yeah, that's gross. No, you can't do that shit. Julia, she does not like Julia.
Does not
Kirsty, the
care.
daughter, does not like this bitch. You
No.
can tell. She's
And-
like, ew, I don't want to be here.
Well,
She's here.
Julia doesn't like her either.
Stepmom.
No, and it's established that her mom is dead.
Her mom is dead.
Yes.
It wasn't like a divorce or anything. She dead now.
Julia goes up and she's having the full flashbacks to fucking Frank. And Frank is this. I mean, it's a hot scene, but again, it's just oddly like he's like, you know, you want to do it, and she's like, but no, I can't. Like,
Also, can we talk about all of these flashbacks
Mm-hmm.
to fucking Julia being younger?
she looks the same.
She looks older.
the exact same. She looks like a fucking Karen. She's made out to be, like Emily said earlier
Like a
when we were
hot
talking about.
snatch.
She's not
She is
hot.
supposed to be super
Normal
hot.
looking
she
woman.
is
Right.
just a Karen trying to make it through the supermarket.
She is a
With a-
lady that I would envision maybe buys lottery tickets on the
She
reg.
sells Avon.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
definitely sells Avon.
I think that that's the reason why they harken back to her being like cheating on her husband at their wedding.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's the only
Oh,
thing that
God.
differentiates the time.
Yep.
Because they're clearly the same age.
Yep.
So
That
they have to
fucking
be like,
mullet.
oh, let's fuck on top of the wedding dress. Remember how they're younger? Like I think that I literally think that's the only reason they did it. That theme of it being
Well,
their wedding
and
weekend.
for full transparency, we were talking about this with your husband Doug earlier,
Yes.
and he made the reference that, you know, well, they didn't have a whole lot of money.
True.
And so they were just trying to roll with what they had.
Oh, they don't have the time for special effects to make her look young. The juxtaposition of them fucking on the wedding dress is funny. In their sex scene, he like bites her chin. Do you remember
Oh my
that?
god,
Not
he went
sexy.
in. It wasn't even a bite. He was like
Eats her chin.
It wasn't even established with a first like kiss.
It just
was
went right into
just
the chin.
Guys, right on the chin.
Nothing makes me
It
hotter.
was like
nothing makes
right on the chin.
my
Eat me like a snake.
makes my cooter wetter than a thought of a man eating my chin.
I just want to do
Off
like
the
you're
hair
so
of my
cool,
chinny chin
Cooter.
chin. You're so cool, cooter. Yeah, no, honestly, that is the gross. Anything that is so gross. That reminds me of every movie where like a guy's trying to make out with you and it ends up horrible and he licks your face.
Or
I
like
had that happen to me once. Did I tell you
you
guys
did
about
tell
that?
us that it's a
Yes.
nightmare.
Like I licked my face. Oh, it was, sorry,
nope,
Corey.
nope,
It's just
nope.
not gonna work. For
Always
or like
it,
that one
Corey.
time you thought, well, he thought he was fucking, and then he ended up fucking that crease between your legs.
You're
and
like
your
not
vagina.
it, not it,
No,
not it. Sir.
Wait, that happened?
It's never happened to you?
No.
Oh my god, bless you.
Nope, never, nope. Also though, that would be just as good as the chin eating.
I do think the one thing that notifies us that this was a consensual relationship is that Julia obviously gets very hot and bothered
She is
when
ready.
she thinks about it.
Oh, she is like,
She's
I'm
horny.
surprised she hasn't stroked it out.
Oh, I'm sure she has. It's
yeah, but
just
on
not
the
on
screen,
film.
I mean, it would have been, but to be fair, it would have been better on
It would have
screen.
cost more money.
Yeah, they like have to pay her for masturbating.
Would have been a whole thing. Obviously, there's trouble in paradise between Julia and Larry. They're bickering constantly.
I mean his name is Larry.
His name is Larry.
Can I ask,
She has a mullet.
Is there any significance to, so when they're moving in and we see Kirsty comes in the weird kiss, this is during the flashback.
Yes.
He cuts his hand on a nail.
I think that's to set the mood for the sadomasochism
Oh.
because as he's cutting his hand, she is picturing herself in this painful ecstasy with Frank.
Yes.
Okay.
And also like you
And then
see
the blood plays in a
the
moment.
blood plays in a moment, but I think you're right. And this is an interesting thing that we could have noted earlier too, that like when they first start walking through the house, it's not just occult stuff. It's
Yeah.
also very traditional Christian stuff.
Yes, there's a lot of
He has
iconic imagery.
Yes, he has a lot of the crucifixes. He has a lot of like Jesus
Which
sculptures
I think is
and
very,
Mother Mary.
Yes, which I think is very interesting because you think of this film and you think sadomasochism, and you also think of sadomasochism as being associated simply with like satanic panic or with Satanism in general. But really, if you're paying attention throughout all religion, Christianity is the number one sadomasochistic
Yes.
Yeah.
religion.
Oh,
like
think about every like monk that fucking what
Yes.
is it?
Whips
Self-flagellating.
I mean, sex is forbidden. Boom, number
Boom.
one.
Bummer.
And I think that what's interesting here is again this plays into all of every movie that involves religion, like even The Conjuring. Like there's religious elements in there, but even though it's the devil, but I mean,
Yeah.
the Catholicism part is cool. I like that. I
Yes.
like all the creepy icons.
So I do think that because he cuts his hand on the nail right where it is alleged that Jesus was pierced by nails to be crucified on the cross.
Well, and not only that, that is very significant. We also have to establish that Frank needs blood in
Yes.
order to come back to life.
It's blood magic.
So she's upstairs in the room, and he's like, "Oh," he goes up and he's like, "Is it bad?" And I'm like, "Your fucking hand's about to fall off." He like impaled his hand on this nail
Well, I wrote in here, Larry cuts his hand, blood drips into the house
onto the floor upstairs. Yeah.
Right, because apparently catching your hand on the head of a nail bleeds like a motherfucker. Larry's all, I hate blood, but get used to it, bitch, because you just started up some blood magic.
Also, can we
That's hot.
talk about the helplessness with which Larry comes
Dumb
into
Larry.
the goddamn
Julia,
room? He's
Julia.
like
He
a
has to be
child.
pathetic.
I noted that this was like a child who threw up in the middle of the night and just brought the trash can into
there.
their parents' room instead of just like fucking cleaning it out.
And they have to
Been
make
there.
Yeah.
they have to make him that pathetic so that
Yes.
you can justify why she cheated on him.
Although at the same time, Julia does not deserve him.
No, he's way nice. He's way nice.
he's
he supports
reliable.
her.
He's fine.
Larry
He
is
might
a
be
Larry.
a little bit of like a fluffy
bore.
fluff.
I feel like Larry's the guy
neither
that-
of them are more attractive than the other.
Nope.
So
I feel like
boom.
Larry is the guy that like, goes to the same place for the same Salisbury steak
Yes,
every
yes.
other week, and he
wants
knows
the
he
same
knows the
waitress
diner,
named-
the
named
diner,
like
the waitress,
Susan.
Suze, Orman. And so she goes upstairs. He's like complaining about his hand. The blood drops on the floor, and they leave, and then all of a sudden, like, shit goes down upstairs.
I wrote, "Don't come a knocking when hell is a rockin'."
And it looks
course
like an
you did.
afterbirth spider coming out of the ground.
Yes. Yeah, we're growing giant spider leg looking arms. God, these effects are amazing.
It's lube and mustard.
But it was beautiful.
It's amazing.
Lube and mustard growing into a human.
And it's just like the growth, because you're not entirely sure that it's a person at
I
first.
thought it was a spider.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like the gates of hell open, allegedly, or like whatever. You're not entirely sure. I mean, you're watching a movie called Hellraiser. So
Yeah,
come
you
on.
have to think, is this heaven?
Wake up, idiots. So these like weird spider legs come out, and then you're like, oh shit, they're arms. Oh shit, that's legs. And then like a human kind of thing appears.
And I think that that scene, it goes on for quite a while, and you
Yes.
get a lot of effects in there. There's a lot of things happen, a lot of bones, a lot of gross lube mustard flesh.
It's beautiful.
I love it. I thought it was great.
Also, I made a note. If I had a nickel for every time I fucking gagged in the first 25 minutes of this goddamn movie, because
You'd have like 5
Yes.
nipples.
oh my god, at least because this fucking movie, I have to
Ugh.
note that there is not a single shot that there isn't something unnerving, something
Uh-huh.
off,
So
something
true.
disgusting about it, which I think. I mean, obviously it's very intentional, but it's also so fantastic and so well thought out.
Very well done.
And then they, as we said, they didn't clean the house at all, and then they have a dinner party 7 minutes
Dinner
later.
party.
That, like, that night. It must have been, like, that night.
First of all, I threw my son's birthday party at our house 2 months after we bought it, and I was like, that feels like a tight timeline.
I haven't had a housewarming, and it's been 6 months.
Right. Like, bitch, they were aggressive.
And then stepmom fucking leaves the dinner table. Julia leaves. She's like, oh,
Oh,
bye.
she's outie.
She's like, ew, you're friends.
One of their guests was very sweaty. She like goes around the table to give like kisses
Oh, he was
goodnight,
so sweaty.
and he was drenched. And I was like,
Disgusting.
baby, are we okay?
Everybody's sweaty.
So,
It's hell. It's all hell.
Homeboy was, I don't know what was happening in his life, but I hope he gets his thyroid checked.
I also need to note that I am that house guest, no matter
Oh,
where
same.
I am.
House guest?
Yep, always sweaty.
But your sweat is amazing, and I want to bottle it.
I
And
love
meanwhile,
you.
his daughter is like flirting with, what is his name, Steve?
Yeah, she's trying to get fucked.
No,
Well,
she likes.
and then
yeah.
he makes a date rape joke, and her dad's just like, cool
Wait, what does
with
he
it.
say? Do you remember?
He's pouring her wine.
I remember
And
this.
she's like,
Oh, she said not too much.
Then
He
not
said,
too much, and
"Ooh."
he goes, well, it'll be fine if you lay down, or or something to that effect of like, oh, I
You'll
want
have to
you
lay down.
right? Like I want you so inebriated you can't stand up.
Good Lord.
And,
And
the
the dad's
dad's
like,
just like,
Well,
like,
happy
yeah, take my
1980.
daughter.
right, go fuck yourself, man.
Um,
You don't kick that guy out of your goddamn house,
Right?
And
Crazy.
she is like, she's beautiful. He is
Gorgeous.
incredible. He's another Larry.
Let's talk about Kirsty for a moment.
Young
Kirsty's
Winona
hair
Ryder,
is a delight.
beautiful.
She's fantastic.
A
Her
delight.
makeup is always well done. I love that they don't dress her up too much.
No.
It's constantly a white t-shirt and jeans.
I feel like everybody wore the same thing the whole movie.
Yes.
Literally. Like, I feel like the budget was not on the wardrobe.
No,
So stepmom leaves dinner. She goes
she's
upstairs.
starting to realize that things are off.
Oh yeah, but she goes upstairs because she hears some like maniacal laughing, and then you hear this heartbeat, which I thought was interesting.
Yes,
And also, she's wearing the ugliest patent leather shoes I've ever seen
she's
in my
going
life.
for it. It's a swing and a miss.
This is
but
a
she's
Karen
going.
moment to a T. The moment that I went was the rats. Yeah, upstairs we're eating the mustard lube goo.
Yes.
That's like the human goo. And
Ectoplasma
that
shit.
ectoplasmic shit, that actually grossed me the fuck out. At this point, Frank comes out and we learn, he tells her, and she's like, oh my god.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why is real life Frank and Monster Frank two different actors?
Because their voices are completely different.
Why?
That's
Why do
almost
they
dumb.
not just have one
And then
actor?
I also had the very strong feeling that even the early Frank, like where he was a person, like they did a voiceover
it
for
felt
him.
dubbed.
It felt dubbed, and then they
What?
did a different voice for
Why?
the monster
Yes.
Frank.
So Sean Chapman played human Frank, and Oliver Smith played Monster Frank.
Jesus.
Because
Why?
we need that. That's how they spent the budget. They hired a bunch of fucking different people.
They were different heights.
Yeah.
They were different builds. And even when in the beginning of the movie, when he's in hell and they're like piecing together his face, he didn't have his beard anymore.
I know.
And he doesn't have his beard. It was
They didn't
just,
even
Yeah.
try.
No attempt was made. I'm here for it, but why?
Yes. Also, I don't know that I'm here for it. Frank
Fair.
in the beginning was a snack.
No, he
Yes.
can get it, though. He can get it.
Frank in the beginning was a snack.
But I like the idea of the blood magic here. I think it's super
Oh,
fun.
yes.
And he tells Julia, I need more blood because this got me this far. So then Kirsty leaves the dinner table momentarily. She's drunk. She is fucking drunk.
Oh, she's
like
gone.
real drunk. And she's going upstairs, and I was worried at that point, having not seen this. I was like, oh my god, is she gonna kill her right now?
That's
Like,
she
I thought it was
obviously
gonna happen right then and
contemplates sacrificing Christy to
Yeah.
her dead boyfriend.
And Christy and her boyfriend walking in and saying,
yes, so Steve's walking Christy back to her apartment, and a homeless creep.
oh,
I can't get over how crazy he looks.
Also-
Disgusting.
I've never seen a homeless. I've seen a lot of homeless people. I lived
Fair.
in New York, and I have never seen a homeless person. It's like he rolled in actually like in a stamp, like in a black
Yes.
stamp. Like he wanted to make himself a stamp,
Intense.
literally. Like his eyes were the only
But
thing.
him
It
and
was like-
Christy share like a long glance together. Like they lock eyeballs.
Like no, it's he's like peering out of like a
and
warehouse.
Yes.
he is very pointed about watching her.
yes, it's not them, it's her, which is terrifying.
They go make out in the subway
They go make
station or
out.
something.
It gets hot and heavy, and then we cut to Julia being in bed, fantasizing about her night with Frank,
And they
which
are-
is starting. Like this is the point where it starts to look really kinky.
Yes.
like it may have been a little bit more than
I was
just
so about this.
Oh, yeah.
consensual vanilla sex.
Yes.
Oh yes.
She decides to visit Frank and tell him that she's in. She'll get
Also-
him all the blood she needs.
Yep.
We see this like crazy iteration of Frank crawling toward Julia.
Yes.
Yes.
That creeped me out
Oh,
so
terrifying.
much.
What?
Runs in a crawl.
She brings him a guy
Terrifying.
she met at a bar.
Yes. So she
That-
gets all
yep.
like sexied up.
Also, which she looks the same.
Yes.
Same.
Again,
Except for
just
she's
a-
wearing all black.
Yes.
Again,
a little
nothing-
more eyeshadow.
Sunglasses.
Yes.
Literally nothing
That's it.
makes this woman.
No.
I feel like
nothing
you
helps.
can't. Yeah, it's like gussing up a letter.
It's true.
Seriously, it's
So-
like I'm gonna put an American flag stamp on it.
Meanwhile, Christy and Steve are having post-coitus nightmares about Christy being in hell.
Yes.
So like that weird feather.
Oh my god, a
Yes.
dead body
And you
covered in
hear-
chicken feathers.
Yes.
And you hear this crying, screaming of a child.
Yep.
There's always babies crying in hell, and I honestly feel that.
It's so annoying.
I get it.
Yeah, that Emily is a mom, so that does make sense. You're like,
get
that's the
it.
one thing I won't want to hear.
I get because you can't ignore it.
No.
You gotta just check before you
And,
can go back to sleep.
and the body she sees in that dream is her dad.
Yes.
So
See,
she pulls the
the first time I
blanket
saw
off.
that, I was like, "What? Is that her body? Is that like her mom? Because her mom's
Yeah.
dead." Like,
I think that
dug
was a
deep.
good association, but it might be up for interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She ends up calling her dad.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
she's like, "I need to
saying-
call my dad."
That's,
you
that's a
okay?
good call. I'm sorry.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm fine." And it's like, meanwhile, Julia's plotting his imminent death.
Yeah.
I like that Frank is watching from the stairs, like being all nasty, spying.
He's
Yes.
so gross.
So I wrote my notes. Julia goes to get her dead boyfriend some blood while her husband isn't home. You know, couple stuff.
like you do.
Yeah.
And then it says, "It's cool though. This guy deserves to die." Because the first victim like gets a little forceful with Julia.
Yes.
Oh,
And
he
he's
says,
like, "What are
"You're
you
not
going to
gonna
change your mind?" Yeah, like a rapist creep. And then I'm like, you know what? Kill him.
Kill him, kill him.
And
Yeah.
her eyeshadow is also just like a mood. This entire
Yes.
movie.
And the first guy she brings up to slaughter, basically, is about as hot as Gilbert Gottfried.
Which like
Literally, like the sexual prowess of
Oh my
Gilbert
gosh.
Gottfried.
Let's talk about the sexual prowess of the entire movie.
negative
none.
1,000.
Nothing is hot except for Frank.
Chris,
scene.
yes, Frank.
Kirsty and Frank.
Yeah.
Kirsty.
Yes.
Yeah, Kirsty, yeah.
Yes.
And Frank, that's it.
And
yeah.
I do think it's funny that she hammers him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how he does.
She got hammered. Yeah. She hammers him, but I think it's weird that, like, wait a minute, I have to bring them and kill them? You can't do that part?
It's like, okay, I got him here.
Wait,
you can
you
at least do
can't
the
just-
murder.
Take it from here?
Do it
Nope.
for the team, homie.
Nope.
No. She's
Also-
got to do all the emotional and physical labor. This is bullshit.
When she's covered in blood after she hammers the first guy she kills, she looks like David Bowie.
Oh my
Yes.
god, yes she does.
Doesn't she kind of look like David Bowie?
And then she's like, "Let me go wash off some blood and come back topless." And like she's got her nippies out.
Yep. And they're wearing a
Yes.
little
I
sports
also
bra.
love that she wore lingerie
To a murder.
to a murder. Like she knew she
Wear
wasn't gonna
stuff
sleep
that
with
you're
this guy.
gonna throw away.
Right. Homegirl was like, maybe
No,
my
no, no.
boyfriend's gonna get his body back after I give him all this blood. I better wear my
then we
sexy
gon'
back
fuck.
lingerie.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh
right.
god. And then she goes back upstairs after he's
Right.
sucked the buddy dry. And I will say that, again, really cool effects.
But I love that that's a bridge too far.
Yeah.
For her.
Oh, God, no.
That's where she draws
It's
the
so
line.
dry.
Right. It's not my boyfriend's returned from hell. That's not the concern here. It's you suck the blood out of this guy that I just killed.
Do you know what this reminds me of? Kimmy Schmidt. I'm gonna make it so dry for you.
Yeah.
How dry do you want it? What? Your blowjob. And she's like, wait, I'm gonna... What are you doing? Like, that's what that made me think about. I actually thought about the fact that it's like, he says, come to daddy, which this brings up
Every
a...
time. It's
but
like
he-
every 10 minutes. If he doesn't say come to daddy, you need to drink.
And also, he says it to Christy later, and I'm like, was there, like, abuse? Like, what? Did he molest her? Probably.
How do
I'm
you
sure.
say to your niece?
That's not what your uncle said to you? Oh, God, it's horrible. No, it's disgusting.
So gross.
Also, he says, I'm like, part of me is like, just all this for some dick. All this for some dick.
And then I love that Julia's
real?
like in the powder room, like composing herself, and her husband Larry comes home, who she does not deserve, and she's like, "I'm not feeling well," and Larry's like, "Can I get you anything?" And she's like, "A brandy," and he's like, "Yeah, sounds
Wait,
normal."
that's exactly what I do when I have a stomach
I
ache.
love
Hard
that.
liquor.
That he's just like, yeah, I'll get you that brandy. Like, I feel like if Doug came home one night and was like, "You're not feeling well," and I was like, "Can I have some vodka?" He'd be like, "Let's talk about NyQuil before we talk about vodka."
Do you want to talk about your
That's terrible.
feelings? Because something's going on.
Right, like that's not love.
Yeah, Larry's the goat.
Larry is not the goat, but I think that Julia's trash. I think Julia and Frank are trash, and I think Larry is moderate.
All this for penis is really funny. And
It's
also,
a bridge too far. No, she's picking up men left, right, and center.
Yes.
She got options.
I don't understand how she's cleaning up so well.
Also, she puts the bodies in another room, and later we find out, like, not getting rid of them.
No.
Just moving them.
How does their house not smell like death
Oh my
all
God,
the time?
literally-
it already does because
Well, they
it's a
said it
shit
smells-
house.
Also,
Dana.
I have pickles in my fridge, horseradish pickles, and the whole house smells.
Right. You
No
got
shit.
6 dead bodies, and your
There's
husband's
so many
like,
bodies.
business as usual.
Everything smells pretty good, actually.
Are you
yeah.
making cabbage?
When she goes upstairs and
Yes.
she's talking to Frank, she sucks
His
his finger,
finger.
and he is not a
hate
human
that.
yet.
No.
He
is
is
not
still
human.
so damp.
He is still so mustard lubricated. Oh, that to me, I could not handle that. So now, then we go to the pet store.
I stand it, honestly.
No.
And then they go to the pet store, and then this like homeless creep that kind of looks like Larry David.
The same guy.
He is credited as derelict.
Nice.
Comes
Derelict.
Derelict. What you doing here? You don't want a pet parakeet. And then he dips his hands into a bucket of crickets, and he just starts eating them. And she's like, "Conversation over. Get the fuck
He
out."
also looks like Alice Cooper.
He does look like Alice Cooper. You're so right. It's the nose.
That guy must have actually done that, because I don't know, unless there was some miraculous way that they made it look like he did it, there's no stop
They
there.
had to have covered a glove in like chocolate covered crickets.
But they
or
were like
something.
moving on his face.
I don't want to talk about
Yeah.
it.
It was
let's-
bad. It was bad. I would fucking run out of the store.
I think I would just nervously start laughing. I'd be like, "Ah, you're doing that.
You're doing
okay.
How are those? They're good. They're good. I'd cry and run
Do
away.
you need it back?"
He leaves. He
Because
runs away.
Steve shows up
Yep.
and he's like, "What up?" And she's
Also,
like,
nobody-
"Something weird happened." He's like, "I don't give a shit about your day."
He's
and
like,
then
yeah.
she's like, "But this man," and goes to point and just missed.
This is where Kirsty sees her take somebody home.
Yes. Well, the father and daughter, so Larry and Christy have lunch together.
Mm-hmm.
Larry is like, Julia doesn't want to leave the house. I don't think she's happy here. Would you, my daughter Christy, reach out and I'll
Spend time.
Spend time with her, make friends. And she's like, "Fun, Dad." And Christy walks to the house, but she sees Julia leading in victim number 2, 3 at this point, into the house. And obviously her first instinct isn't, "Oh, that's probably a blood sacrifice for my dead uncle."
Right.
So she assumes that he's cheating.
Best thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, you know.
Usually it's that. For my period face uncle. Oh
24/7.
God. Going
So-
hard in the paint.
Tries to follow them into the house. This is when literally all hell starts to break loose.
We see the Cenobites. I don't think this is when she sees him yet, but we see Pinhead.
Well, and I don't know. I can't determine if Pinhead and like all of their nicknames, like Butterball, were attributed to them afterward when fans started to get their
Right.
hands on them, or if it was actually within the Clive Barker novella.
There's
Pinhead
Butterball.
in the novella had a much smaller role
Yeah.
until they brought Doug
Based on a torturer.
Bradley.
brought Doug Bradley into it.
Yeah, they
But-
have Chattering Cenobite, which is the one with the
That one creeps me most.
That's the scariest one to me. And then
I do like-
Butterball
yeah, it's the
Cenobite,
fat guy.
and then of course female.
Yeah.
right,
Right,
because
is
she
her
doesn't
whole name.
deserve a name.
But she's also the coolest.
Oh, the
Yeah,
neck
she's
thing?
the best.
neck
She's the
thing.
most intimidating.
Oh my
This,
god,
all
she's
of this
amazing.
reminds me so much of like Asylum.
Oh, I know.
American Horror Story Asylum.
Yes.
Can we talk about, and I hate to burst anybody's bubble.
No, do it.
What?
First
The
of all.
Cenobites in general did nothing for me.
Oh,
They
see,
didn't
I
creep
love
you out.
Frank was it for me.
Oh,
Frank
okay.
was so terrifying, and everything he brought along with him, all of the eating of rats and like draining humans and stuff like that. I live for that shit.
Yes.
I don't give a flying fart in space about Cenobites. Also, well, we'll get to it later, but there's that anglerfish.
Yeah, well,
thing.
God.
Dickhead.
I love that
literally.
thing.
Yes.
Cenobite. Mhm.
Yes.
So at this point we go to a scene where Julia and Larry are watching a boxing match, and he says, I thought this made you sick. And she says, and basically like, look, she's now murdered
I've
multiple
seen some
people.
shit.
He wants to go upstairs, rats nailed to the wall, and they go up to the bedroom, and she does not want Larry to go upstairs. There's noises up there. He wants to go investigate. She knows that he will die if he goes up
And
there.
we're
Yeah.
made to believe that at this point, she still really loves Larry.
Yeah, she still has feelings for
and
him.
Larry has requested at least one more victim. So
Oh, yeah, they're
Julia
having
tries
sex.
to use her feminine wiles.
Oh, that's right.
to
To lure
distract
Larry.
away, and that shit
And then,
does
like,
not work.
while Larry and Julia are fucking, Frank walks in mid-fuck and slices open a rat.
Yep,
Million
play
rats in here.
Coronavirus who? So they go back to the bedroom and they try to get their boogie on. Obviously, they're doing missionary position because look at them. And you see Frank, and she starts saying, no, stop. And I want to know why the fuck Larry didn't stop right then.
Yep.
Your wife saying, no.
She's
please
clearly
stop now."
terrified of something. Why
Right.
aren't you checking on her?
I don't get it. You're so hot and cold. I deserve sex whenever I want it.
And it's so funny.
Bullshit.
I don't understand you. And it's like, all right, you could ask me how I'm doing. He has not been the sacrifice one. She brings home another man. And this makes me sad because he said, I get lonely sometimes. And I'm like, she's like, yeah, everybody does. You're about to die. Like, whatever. She takes him upstairs. She beats him to death. And then at this point, I still was like, how is Frank getting the blood out, right? And you
Right.
didn't know until this part where actually, basically, he burps into them and sticks his hands into their skin and sucks it out that way. And then they just get all
Sexy.
gooed out. Then Kirsty shows up. And she goes in the house. And
runs upstairs.
Sees him.
The guy who's mostly dead at this point.
And she says, don't touch me or so help me. Wait, I'm sorry. You don't have any weapons? You have no idea what's going
Help
on.
me, I will blog about this.
So help me. Apparently you can still knee a corpse in the groin because she
Right.
does that. And
To
then
Frank,
she takes
yeah.
the box and runs away.
Frank takes this opportunity to reintroduce himself to Christy by saying, "It's me, Uncle Frank.
Come to Daddy.
Come to Daddy."
And
she reacts by yeeting the Tesseract out of the house and retrieving it from the lawn on the way out.
Also, I love how in slow motion he says, Kirsty!
Well, and
Kirsty.
she realizes that this is the thing that he most desires, and is running down what looks like Skid Row.
Yeah. Also, wait, can we just talk about she runs past a group of nuns.
Yes.
Who ignore
Yes.
this girl covered in some blood.
Lots
crying.
of blood. Yes.
And they
with
ignore
a
her.
Rubik's Cube made of
Wait.
Satan's butthole.
It's like the one thing that you would hope is if you would run into maybe a nun.
Maybe.
Maybe a nun. Not even a rabbi. I know a rabbi ain't gonna do anything.
Oh no, he'd be like, see you Saturday.
So then
She
they don't help her. at all.
collapses because this cube, is having some form of influence on her.
Yep.
She's hearing voices.
Yep.
She collapses. There's 3 pedestrians who are like, bitch, you okay? And then she wakes up in a hospital bed. And the nurse is watching a video of a carnation.
Like, okay, maybe she like passed out somewhere and they took her to an insane asylum. But I'm like, really? That's where don't you take someone to just the hospital?
She is,
first?
however, covered in other people's blood.
Yes.
She assumes that they found the bodies in her dad's house. So she's like, And then she just decides to like fuck with this Tesseract cube.
Oh my god, they tell her they're not gonna let her go. You know what's the
She
best thing
fights
to do?
keep the box too, and then she's like, "Cause I just want to fuck with you."
Well, he was like, maybe this'll jog your memory. The doctor puts it in front of her and it's like, this'll help.
Yeah,
Good luck.
You have to answer questions in a minute, young lady, but first of all, take this.
So she opens up a gate to hell.
First thing you do when you have a strange box, you shake the crap out of
shake
it.
it.
You shake it like a Polaroid picture, baby. You shake it.
Yes. So she opens up the door to hell and just like walks right in. She's like, "Yep, open door, stroll right in." White privilege, if I have ever seen it.
And also then we have the crappy effects of like the little lights
although
flying out.
I do love it.
It looks like little sperm lights, like Blaine said.
So she hobbles through the spermy lights and then finds this. I don't know if it's technically the same thing as the rest of them.
Oh, I love this monster.
But some like demon monster.
It looks like an anglerfish, and
It's
the
an-
eyes
yes.
itself, that terrifies.
Anglerfish front
yes.
that curves up into like a snake, like almost like a perch snake, like the top of the face. too.
Scorpion tail.
Scorpion tail on the face there, and then little tiny arms, so it's almost like a Tyrannosaurus.
Just unsettling. So that's chasing her, and she's running and running and running, and it looks like it's an endless hallway. And just when you think all hope is lost,
Yep.
she escapes.
Yep.
And then what does she do?
Yep. No, what do you do? What's the best
She
thing?
continues to play
Try
with the fucking
again.
box.
Yep, you know what? When it doesn't work once, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, strike 3.
Open up the gate to hell.
Yep, that's right.
So she's messing with it again, opens up an alternate
Another one.
portal to hell.
And guess who comes out?
Shocker.
Pin. Mr. Pin.
Pinhead. It's been established that this cube opens up the portal to the dimensions of pain and pleasure. Frank has said at some point, it opens up those doors, and I don't care which one.
It says
I went
heaven
through.
or hell,
Yes.
basically. So nobody
like,
got the good one.
Well, not even heaven or hell. It's in hell, but it's peaks and valleys of pain and pleasure.
Okay.
So I think it's like supposed to be the tenets of like BDSM. Of you can't feel the highs without the lows.
Apparently then she decides that the best way to get out of this is spill the beans on Frank. She's like, he escaped you, right? And they're like, no, nobody. Wait, what?
But like if you did though, what would you do?
But wait, and Christy comes back home because she was escaped to the asylum. How?
I don't know.
How did she get out?
I think that like
Did she just get out?
I think it's like in the board game Pandemic.
Oh yeah, I love that game.
Where you can like build like CDC centers and then you can like portal between the two. So she just like portals back to the house.
Yep.
Because she like built a hell portal and they need to bring her back to hell with them. She's like, better idea. What if I showed you where Frank is? We'll be even. Pinhead's like, lead us to him and then we'll talk.
I'm also like, let's have it in writing. How about that? Mm-hmm. How about that? Meet me outside. Catch me
So
outside.
Frank, who is now like mostly human, fucks Julia after sacrificing Larry to him. And then wearing Larry's face.
Which this was so cool because I didn't actually initially realize because
Really?
I didn't initially realize. Then I was like, wait a minute, there's a lot of goo. It's probably Goo Man. Goo Man Chew.
See, what gave it away to me was Larry had such beautiful blue eyes.
Oh, what the?
Why the fuck are you paying attention to that?
That's amazing.
Is that not the first thing?
No. All I noticed was the hairline and the voice.
When Frank is wearing Larry's face, he has dark brown eyes.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, that's not really Larry.
So what's funny is that when Christy comes back home to check on him, she goes upstairs first of all. Dad's hairline is oozing blood. Julia knew, but I just love that Christy's like, okay, Dad, I'm glad you're good. And they show in the attic the deep fried body of Dad.
Yes.
And they lock her in there.
Yeah, the Cenobites are like, we want who's responsible for this.
Because they're
And
like,
Kirsty-
only Frank can do that.
Yes, and Kirsty thinks that that's her uncle.
Yep.
And that her dad's downstairs.
Yep.
So Kirsty's like, you're never getting your hands on the man who did this because she thinks it's her
She's
father.
Dad, yeah.
So she runs downstairs, and then Frank, with Larry's face mask,
now she knows.
is like, come to daddy.
And she
And
knows
it clicks
now.
in her head.
And then she messes up his nice old face.
And there's like chunks.
The prosthetic is great.
It's beautiful.
It's really like they put a piece of prosciutto and then they just like dipped it in foundation.
Yes, and just like
then
jelly
stuck
jam.
it- I think that's
and
solid.
then you keep waiting for Pinhead to show up to take this man away, but he won't until they have like a scuffle and they're trying to kill Kirsty because she knows their secret. And in the scuffle, Frank accidentally stabs Julia in the gut. And he says, it's nothing personal.
Yeah, girl, you ain't special.
She knew.
The bodies that Julia just decided to leave there.
Casually.
And there's like maggots falling out of him. I'm like, okay, the amount of maggots is only equal to the amount of crickets they had to accommodate.
Oh my god, yes.
Accumulate for this film.
Like, if you thought the maggots in the Lost Boys was over the top, please.
Yes.
Don't even.
Don't.
Oh, I love that.
Just come on over to Hellraiser.
Oh, also, when Christy's hiding in the room and then Frank / her dad, Bod, Dad bod. Walks in the room, and then he leaves, and 2 seconds later she leaves, and I'm like, okay, do you actually think in the 4 seconds you paused that he now has left?
She takes, bitch, run!
No, nobody kills, nobody runs, everybody just waits.
No, she's like, I need to grieve all these losses now. Whips out that blade that he had brought up during previous sexcapades with Julia.
And
that like switchblade.
Yep, and then the fun bunch is back. We got the Cenobites. They get Frank back on the chain gang.
Yes.
Literally, full of spikes. He goes in the room, and they're like, Frank.
They would have had Larry's face peel off and reveal Frank's, because Frank's also more we never got to see Frank really
I also
morph.
felt like he really shouldn't have required that much blood to get back to full.
No!
How many
I
people?
feel like it's tit for tat.
Right.
One human
One body.
for one human.
One body. He could be maybe. Oh, you know what? His dick.
But
That's
still,
it.
maybe
That's
like
it. All that blood.
I could not for the life of me, and I swear I was sober when I watched this, the significance of Jesus wept.
So Jesus wept is famous in the Bible as the shortest verse in the Bible. It's the New Testament. Jesus has a friend that dies, and Jesus decides to not save him because of limited resource reasons. I don't know. He dies, and it literally the entire verse is Jesus wept, and it's like a joke almost in the Christianity community that like if you have to have a memory verse, pick that one because it's only 2 words.
Oh, it's adorable.
So
Interesting.
yeah. And I think that in the BDSM community, it's supposed to be the juxtaposition of pain and pleasure. That was my interpretation of it, but I'm also an asshole. But he is saying that as he's being literally torn apart by hooks in the attic, very reminiscent of the first scene in the movie, or the second scene in the movie, rather, where he's being torn apart when he first opens this box of pain and pleasure.
Interesting. Leviathan is the god of the Cenobites, but Leviathan, that sounds like something biblical.
So Leviathan is supposed to be
It sounds like something.
In the Bible, Leviathan is the child of a demon and a man or human reproducing.
Kirsty, fuck you.
I know. It's
She
a UK movie. What can
doesn't
we say?
understand that the box should not be touched. She gets the box, and Pinhead says, "No, don't do that." And it's like, okay, so you can't like control anything. You can't even control movement or anything.
Right.
You're not that special. And he's
Not
like,
special.
okay, well, obviously I'm going to do this. And I guess, like, so she starts messing with the box.
Yes.
And then each of them, as she pushes a portion of
Yeah.
it down, each of the Cenobites start to disintegrate or, like, fall into nothingness. And I guess that kills them. And at the same time, the house is falling apart. And
her
here
boyfriend
comes
comes
fucking
over.
boyfriend. Howdy doody over here.
Has no significance at all
Yeah,
to the movie.
he's just creepy.
He doesn't need to be there.
And they hug as he's like trying to save her. I'm like, wait, why are we hugging? Like, the house is falling apart. There are monsters chasing me. I don't need a hug. I need to leave.
And they have to banish these Cenobites or whatever, one by one.
Blaine's most hated critter, the anglerfish monster, they try to leave, and out the front door, he punches in the face.
I loved that part.
He punches her boyfriend in the face, and I'm like, yes! Wait, it's like
beautiful.
literally, it's just amazing. And then they're tussling for the box, and the anglerfish really sucks at like anglering and can't do it. And wait, this is the best. How did you guys feel about the scene? So she's fucking with the box. The boyfriend tries to take the box.
I know,
who's
and she
never seen
swats
it.
him.
Oh, I know.
She's like, "Fuck you."
I'm
That's
here
like
for it.
mansplaining this
love it.
mythical box. Don't you touch this box.
I know you made it this far, but
She
like,
owns
let me
it.
take this from
Wait
you.
a minute. He's trying to touch her box.
Oh, shit!
They get rid of the last monster, which is the anglerfish monster, and they leave the house, and then the house like glows,
Raining.
setting up the spot for
Right.
like a sequel, because
Yes.
the house is not, there's light inside
Clearly
the
the
house.
portal to hell.
Is still open in this house, which, suburbia, hello.
Yes.
They go to this like dump
Tent
site.
city. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was the house that had
that's
burned
the
down.
question.
It didn't, because
That's
like, when you
a
left
lot
it,
of debate actually in this movie.
Is it?
Okay.
Yes, because a lot of people assume that it is the house because you see the chair burning. And you're like, why the fuck would a rocking chair be the last thing to burn down? But the skyline in the background
is the city.
suggests that it's a tent city.
It looks like a tent city.
Exactly. So that they were such fucking white privileged yuppies.
They just
that they were like,
decided
let's
to-
dump this on the homeless population.
And also, so they go to burn it, and I'm like,
Yes.
one, have you ever seen a movie? Don't burn the thing that holds the thing in it. Don't
Right.
burn nothing. Bury it in the bottom of
Yep.
the fucking ocean or some shit. Go there, dig a hole. I don't know how you dig under, whatever. You do it. They burn this cube, and
Yep.
then fucking Cotton Eye Joe comes back. Fucking homeless Cotton Eye Joe.
Yes.
grabs
Yes.
the box, and then this is unexpected.
Yes.
Turns into a horse-flying bat demon.
Which is also a skeleton.
I loved that.
Skeleton horse-flying bat demon. Say that 5 times
Intense.
fast.
It's like Hogwarts meets low budget.
I saw
meets-
that. Like, I was almost tuned out for the rest of the movie. I was like, I don't care about this anymore.
Right.
Then I saw that, and I was like,
I'm
yes!
It's beautiful.
That is actually what started coronavirus. So then immediately, not even a second later, said box back on the Chinese dealer's table says,
Yeah.
"Sir, what's your pleasure?"
pleasure?
This movie creeped me out.
I loved it.
I was also drunk, so it really creeped me out.
Everything is a
Sci-fi,
caricature of itself. Like you have to suspend so much disbelief to enjoy a good 80s horror movie. So this goddamn shit is my
Wait,
life.
can we
So
just
I
combine both?
I would watch this movie every day for the rest of my life.
Really?
Absolutely.
What do you give it?
Because oh my god, are we
Okay,
really-
wait, out of
how
10
many pins in a
pins.
head?
10 pins
Yes.
in a head?
8.
8 pins in a head?
Or no, I'm gonna say 7.5 because Friday the 13th is 8. So I'm gonna say this is 8.5 or
Ooh.
7.5 because it's not quite there yet. It's not quite there because I love Friday the 13th and like that's my bitch.
Wayne, what
But
about you?
Hellraiser's
I don't know.
Hellraiser's a bop to me.
I would say that
Oh,
Hellraiser
rip
and
it
Friday
apart.
the 13th are just about the same.
Ooh, okay.
In terms of, I was scared during parts of
Yes.
Hellraiser.
I was too.
So, like, that to me, like, really bumps it up. Like,
Okay.
I don't give a fuck about the storyline. The plot
Yeah.
is fine, whatever. That's horror for you. Like,
Right.
if I'm scared, that's what matters to me. So, I'm giving this a solid 8.
Ooh, I like it.
8 pins out
What
of
did
the
you
head.
think about like the religious and the black blood magic and stuff?
I don't
I
think
thought
it-
that was bullshit. I thought
Yeah.
it was all bullshit. It was
Yeah.
just an amalgamation of whatever the fuck fit together.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That
Yeah.
to me, I mean, that was flimsy from the start, so I didn't really pay any mind.
blood
to it.
magic is.
It annoyed me. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
like
fair.
slasher movies, and I like them because I know what's happening. And look, I know Alice in Friday the 13th, some of those characters pissed us off.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, though, I felt like they pissed me off so hard.
Fair.
I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Wow,
Fair.
good for you.
I
for
get
that.
sticking up
I
for
get
your
that.
rating.
But at the same time, would watch again.
I mean, live your life.
Hellraiser,
Love you.
coming for you.